Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about the challenges of making a Fallout remaster. I'm doing this on a fun Friday because I think it'll be fun for you guys. It may not be fun for me because I had to think about this a lot and write a bunch of stuff down. Now, I've already done a video, and I'll link it below, about the remaking Fallout, or Fallout 1, or OG Fallout, or whatever people want to refer to it as. I call the first Fallout, Fallout. That right there, by the way, is an issue because people argue over what to call the first Fallout. I've been sitting on this video for a while because I did the one called the remake, and a lot of people were like, no, that's really, you're talking about a remaster. So I want to be clear. Here I'm talking about just doing a remaster, which is taking the original game, original code, original content, and just remastering it, which means fixing bugs, fixing code, making it work with modern OSs, making it work at higher resolutions, and making everything UI, everything else work with that. Possible, bug fixes, optimization, but I'm going to talk about that because there are issues once you open up that Pandora's box. But the main reason I sat on this is I get two reactions from people when I talk about doing anything with the first Fallout. There's the first group that gets really excited. They're like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Some of them are excited. Hey, where do I throw my money? You need to Kickstarter this. And then there's the other people who are really cynical. Oh, here you're talking about Fallout again, and he just wants money for it. So let me just make it clear. I don't. I'm not even sure I want to do this. And as you watch this video, you'll figure out why. And I'm sure some people, now there's a third group going, oh, here come the excuses. Look, I don't have to remaster Fallout 1, so I'm not going to. I don't need to. I don't even know if some of you need it done. In fact, once you finish this video, you may be like, yes, let's never remaster Fallout. But why am I doing this video now? I wonder about this a lot. I go through my notes. I've done that whole big, so many videos on Fallout, and I've gone through my notes, and it's fun to think about that time. And I look back at things and go, oh, yeah, even when the game went out the door, we didn't like that. I would like to fix that. Plus, I get asked a lot. I get asked this question a lot. People on this channel, gamers like you, ask me a lot about, why aren't you remastering Fallout? Well, here's the video of why it would be a pain to do it. By the way, I've also been asked professionally a few times, and not just about Fallout. I've been asked about my other games, like, hey, why don't you do a remaster of this? Why don't you fix these things and modernize it and make it easier to work under, Windows 11 or wherever we are when you're watching this video? And I get why people are asking me those questions. I don't think there's anyone out there who could answer this question better than I can. And what I mean is all the different details that you have to know about it, because even the people who worked on the project weren't involved on some of the legal sides, because that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about a bunch of things that would make it difficult to make a Fallout remaster, and they fall into three categories, all these reasons. There's legal issues, there's technical issues, and there's subjective issues. I'm going to walk through all of them. I had divided them up into the three groups, but the technical and subjective kind of intertwine. So let me start with the legal ones, and then I'm going to go into all the other reasons, and I'll tell you, oh, well, this is technical, but this is subjective. So let's talk about the legal issues of remastering Fallout. First of all, you'd have to have its code, which I think I told you when I left Interplay, they said, you better not have any copies of this. So I destroyed every copy of the source code I had. I went so far to destroy it that I even destroyed early prototypes and libraries, which means I can't even get some of my older personal toy projects that I was working on at home to compile anymore, because they referenced a library that I destroyed the only copy of that library when I destroyed Fallout and all the code and even the early prototype I made. So Bethesda would have to authorize a remaster of this, and I'm assuming they have the code, because I know the code exists. So that's legal issue one. But there's another legal issue. We got a license from EMI, the music group, for Maybe by the Ink Spots. That was only for that game. Now, it doesn't have it didn't have a time limit, because a lot of modern games, when they license music, there's a certain time limit for it, which is why if you ever see the games come out later, the music has been removed. There was no time limit, but it doesn't include making a remaster. So I'm positive that song would have to be licensed again, and that's a legal issue, and money and whatever. Since I mentioned the code, let's talk about what you would run into trying to get it compiled again. And this is something I've thought about a lot. So I'm going to talk about all the issues I can think about. If you somehow magically had the code fall into your lap, here's the problems you're going to face. First of all, we coded it in C on a compiler called Watcom. In fact, going through my stuff, another reason I thought about doing this is I found my original Watcom CD, the compiler. I don't have a CD drive in my current computer, but I have the original compiler CD because I bought it when I started Troika because Arcanum was originally going to be done with Watcom, and we switched to Visual Studio. In any case, Watcom is old. It is no longer supported. It's buggy. I found bugs in this compiler. Some of them I reported to get fixed because it was required for something we were doing on Fallout. So, I found bugs in a compiler, and I'm sure there's more. It also has, compared to modern compilers, very limited warning, error, and optimization capabilities. So, for this, and plus the fact that it's not compatible with newer versions of DirectX, this is a lot of reasons you probably don't want to use Watcom if you're remastering Fallout. But let me tell you what you're going to run into if you try to do it on any other compiler. And let me just assume you're going to use Microsoft Visual Studio. When I archived Fallout, and I'm assuming this is the archive that Bethesda has, I did not archive the code for sound or movies for a very good reason. The programmer who wrote that code would not give me the source code. I don't know what's happening. I didn't know what's happening then. I still don't know what the situation was. But he was allowed not to give his source code to anybody. He would just give me a library compiled for the game, and I would use his library. These are Watcom libraries. So they would compile under that old version. You could rewrite code and compile under Watcom and link to these libraries and everything would work. It's not going to work with Visual Studio. So that's issue one. I don't know how to get that code. I have some workarounds for the sound. And for basic sound, I'm talking about sound effects, voices, user interface sounds. These are raw files. It says .snd, but they're basically just waves with their headers ripped off. Not hard to make work. If you know that, you could figure out how to make these things work. For the music, they're in ACM format, which was proprietary, probably convertible. I'm not sure about the legal issues on that. But here's the side effect of that, or a workaround. The music's out there, which you could grab it, probably in MP3 format. For me, there was a member of the team that made us all Fallout soundtrack CDs. It says Fallout, a soundtrack for a moribund world. I looked for mine. I couldn't find it. I think it's boxed up down in the garage. But I have that CD. I can rip it. And then I have all the music as MP3 or OGS or however I want. Then it comes to the last one, the movies. The movies in Fallout are stored in a proprietary format. It's maybe convertible. Maybe someone could figure it out. I don't know how to do it because they were compressed and played through this guy's sound library, which I don't have, sound music library, and movie library, which I don't have any code for. A better way to do it would be just to record them straight from the game and then compress them into whatever modern format you want. A pain in the butt? Yeah, but doable. So that's you can get around that. And I'm just saying that's the first thing you're going to have to look at because otherwise, if you just recompiled this game in Visual Studio, it would have no sound and no movies. So what do I mean about the remaster? Let's assume you've got all that working and now you're remastering. I want to talk about there's straightforward things you want to do. First of all, you want to get it compiling again. You probably want to optimize it. There's a number of things in Fallout that weren't well written for modern computers. You probably want to change how it uses memory. Probably want to change how it writes to video. Number of other things. These can all fall under optimizations. But you also want to fix bugs. It shipped with bugs. It still has bugs. You want to fix those bugs. But this is where things go from technical to subjective, because what do we mean by bugs? Now, you can be really restrictive and say code bugs that lead to things like crashes, memory leaks, lost inventory, incorrect script and dialogue cause. Okay, we can probably all agree those are bugs we want to fix. What about AI bugs? Do Can the AI be improved? Certainly. But is that a fix? Or is that a subjective thing you'd be tampering with? Some of the things I can think about is, how NPCs shoot each other, your companions shoot you in the back, companions will flee but stay in combat so you can't stop combat. All of those are things you may want to tinker with and take out. But the shooting friends thing will require at the very minimum either remove it, they're not allowed to shoot friends, they all become invalid targets. Or if it looks like they're shoot a friend, they'll reposition themselves so their friend isn't in their LOS. Or they just won't shoot if somebody's in their LOS. Are these all valid things to do in a remaster? Because it will change the feel of the game. Remember I said that companion AI, because we didn't plan to have companions in the game until very, very late, or we planned early, rejected it, and then revisited it and put them in. All that AI was modified enemy AI. Could I fix that? Oh yeah. Could I make it way better? Oh yeah. But remember, better is subjective here. This would remove some of the jank, some of the fun jank that people like. Ian won't shoot his Uzi in burst mode at you accidentally. But we'll get to that in a second because there's other things we can fix. What about script bugs? Let me give you an example of a script bug. You could complete the game without ever finding the water chip. That was not our intent. And speedrunners take advantage of this. They go and basically kill the master and blow up the master and kill the mutant army, and then they're done. Should I fix that? What about something as small and seemingly insignificant as beating Zax the supercomputer in the Glow at chess by getting an intelligence critical success? There's a bug in the check for stat success. It never returns a critical. So that script will never fire. The script is correct. The underlying code supporting it is incorrect. Should I fix that? This is kind of subjective, but here's some non-objective parts. Let's say I want to fix the water chip and make it so you do have to recover it. I'll probably need new dialogue lines from the overseer to talk about, hey, if you've done those things, we still don't have the water chip, son. Unfortunately, the actor, Kenneth Mars, who played the overseer, has passed away. So here are our options at this point. Don't add any new lines. They just don't exist. It'll be weird. You'll play the game. For some reason, it's not finishing. You just have to remember, I guess I better go get a water chip and go do it. Maybe throw something in the quest log saying water chip still not found. We could add them to the overseer's dialogue, and they're just unvoiced. So the line would pop up, the talking head would just sit there, and the line would be there. We could carefully write those lines so that it uses words that are voiced for other lines. You could construct a new dialogue from carefully clipped other overseer lines. Possible. Very restrictive, but possible. We could also hire a new voice actor to mimic Ken Mars. I don't know about the legal aspects of this. I don't even want to talk about the ethical aspects of this, because the fifth solution is to run an AI voice mimic software on all the AI overseer or all the overseer lines, and then have an AI generate the new lines. I bet you a ton of you hate this idea. I'm throwing it out there because these are the kind of things that anyone remastering Fallout will have to think about if they want to fix something like that water chip bug. There's some other things to think about. What platforms would it come out on? I'm assuming PC, but would we do it on Mac? Because there was a Mac version for the original game. I don't even know if people make a lot of Mac games anymore. But would you make a console game? Which consoles? Xbox, PlayStation, Switch? How about a tablet version? How about mobile versions? There's a lot of questions. I don't think these would be that hard to make, given the nature of the OS abstraction library that's in Fallout called GNOME. But it brings up a whole bunch of new legal, technical, and subjective issues, because just making it work on mobile means a whole new interface paradigm. Then there's questions about modern tastes. Should we change the UI or the difficulty settings or other settings? Some examples. The interaction method of left click, hold, right click. Should we stay that? That's a kind of an older paradigm. Should we keep it? Should we throw it away? If you're going to work on other platforms, you probably will have to come up with something different. Inventory. People really hated that long strip inventory we had, and the fact that when you added an item, it went to the bottom, so you had to scroll all the way down. A simple fix would be make latest items added go to the top, be first in the list. How about a whole sort by option, sort by weight, sort by value, sort by recently added? How about a grid? How about we just make it, instead of a strip, we make it a grid? That would be a whole bunch easier. But how much are we now changing the original Fallout? Is this a quality of life thing, or are you making a new game? I mentioned companions shooting you in the back and enemies shooting their friends. Should we just turn off critical failures altogether? I know a lot of people hate it. Should there be a setting for that? Turn off crit fails. And would it be turn them off for everyone? Or maybe just the player? Or the player and his companions? Questions. And this is not just technical. You're going to have to rewrite the code to do this. But it's subjective. Should you do this? Same question for resolution. I assume people are going to want Fallout to run in higher than 640, 480. But once you go higher res, are you going to do that with in-game art scaling? Are you going to grab the original sprite data and scale it in real time to whatever resolution you're in? Using, there's a whole bunch of ways of doing that. Or are you going to upscale it offline and store much higher resolution sprites and textures in the shippable version of the game? You can do a lot more if you do it that way. Or do you just leave it? And if you go higher res, the sprites and the user interface stays small. Don't know. Some of this is technical, some of this is subjective. So I pointed out all these different issues, and let me tell you what they mean to me personally. Of the legal ones, I have no interest. I have absolutely no interest in trying to figure that out. I'm not going to try. I just don't want to deal with it. Technical, these are fun to me. I would love to dive in and work on some of these technical issues. I know the code really well too, so it's something I'm good at and I'd have fun doing. Then that leads to the subjective issues. I don't think there's a correct answer to any of these subjective questions I've raised in this video. By the way, if you think there is, I don't know how to deal with people who think so black and white about subjective things. I know some of what I would do, and there's other ones I don't want to touch. I would want to leave it alone, even though some people think it's a problem. But the bottom line is working on such a remaster should be enjoyable. Discussions about these things should be fun. I do not feel like arguing about them, but I do feel like discussing them in detail. I like doing that. But whoever has to remake this game is going to understand that some of those discussions are going to turn to arguments. And some of those subjective decisions do not have a correct answer. And people are going to argue about what to do. So I thought I'd make this so that from now on when people ask me, why isn't Fallout being remastered? I'm just going to link to this video and there know the entire list of legal, technical, and subjective issues that would face anybody who wants to remaster the original game.